Hello, welcome to JoJo in China. Today's case is about Wang Ning, a 33-year-old woman who survived the unthinkable, as well as the latest development on her ex-husband's appeal. June 9, 2019 was a cloudy day at the Pha Tham National Park in Thailand. Its Phachanadai Cliff is known for sunrise viewing. By 5:30 a.m., most of the tourists had left, except for a Chinese couple. The wife Wang Ning wanted to head back, but her husband Yu Xiaodong convinced her to stay and check out the Asian mural at the end of the trail. As they approached a narrow standing, Yu got behind Wang, back-hugged her, planted a kiss on her cheek before pushing her off the 112 feet deep cliff.
我在被推下悬崖的那一刻，跟你们在电视剧里面看到的是完全不一样的，没有慢动作。我听到他在我的耳边恶狠狠地对我说：“你去死吧！”感受到了他一股非常强大的力量推着我的双侧肩胛骨，我也本能地喊了一句“不要啊”。就在那一瞬间，我感受到了身体的腾空，我就什么都不知道了。
As the later accident report showed, a big tree branch provided Wang with life-saving buffer. After gaining consciousness, Wang found herself lying at the bottom of the cliff, unable to move. She had 17 broken bones. Also at the time, Wang was 3 months pregnant. Bleeding non-stop, she called for help for about 10 minutes before finally gave up. Drowning in her own blood, she thought for sure she was gonna die. After about 40 minutes, she heard footsteps approaching. Then someone grabbed her by hand, saying, "You are safe." Miraculously, a tourist who got lost stumbled upon her and called for help. During the same time, her husband Yu was waiting on the cliff for any commotion down below to make sure she was dead. The nearby highway camera caught his car leaving the park, but after seeing an ambulance come towards the park, he immediately turned around and followed it back. A park staff later recalled he saw Yu among the bystanders, but never identified himself. Yu put on quite a show after arriving at the hospital, wailing loudly, "Where did you go, my dear wife? I could not find you." Wang responded with all her remaining strength, "Why did you do this to me?" Hearing that, he whispered in her ears, "Shut up. No one understands Mandarin here. There were no CCTV camera, no witness at the scene. Even if the police took me in for questioning, they would have to let me go eventually. And when I return, I won't let you off." Wang was later put in an ICU VIP room, while Yu spent the whole night watching her closely. On the second day, he tried to get her discharged against the doctor's order, proceeded to pull her tubes and oxygen mask off, then to push her back out of the hospital. Thanks to the medical staff there, he was stopped at the exit door. The third day, the police came to interview Wang. With Yu monitoring her closely, she had no choice but to say she fell by accident. The fourth day, after repeated begging, he agreed to let one of their mutual friends to come and visit, and this friend secretly recorded their conversation, in which Yu admitted he pushed Wang off the cliff. The fifth day, with Wang being obedient, Yu let his guard down and left her alone for a while. Wang took the opportunity and told her doctor that she was pushed, but did not say who was the culprit. Later that night, Wang was transferred out of the private ICU room to a public area where you could not visit her after 5:15 p.m. and managed to call the police. The sixth day, the police came to interview her again, this time in plain clothes. On the seventh day, Yu was handcuffed and brought to the police station. But why? Why would any man want his pregnant wife dead? Let's go back to May 19, 2017, when Wang Ning first met Yu Xiaodong at a friend's party in Bangkok. On that night, Yu said hi to Wang first, and Wang was pleasantly surprised that they were both from Jiangsu province, and Yu spoke her dialect very well, even though he was from a different city. She later found out he learned her dialect from his ex-inmates while serving time in prison. Yu's gentlemanly manner made a good impression on Wang, and they became WeChat friends. At the time, Wang was a single lady in her late 20s who was looking to settle down and start a family. She was also a successful businesswoman who owned a travel agency, several specialty stores, a Chinese restaurant, and a motel in Thailand. After chatting online for a week, Yu offered to fetch her the Thai textbook she left at her friend's house. He dropped the book off without intruding, which further impressed Wang. He started picking her up and dropping her off at the language school every day. He once wrote a long and sweet love letter on WeChat for her. One morning, there was a knock on her door, and it was Yu, who looked like a mess. He confessed he missed her so much that he sat by her door the whole night. Wang mentioned she liked the ocean in passing, so Yu arranged a romantic getaway to the beach, where they rode horses together, and he asked if he could be her Prince Charming. After she said yes, every morning Yu would come to her house to make breakfast for her. One random day, he proposed marriage to her and did not back down after she said no. He kept proposing at least once every day, stating that they were meant to be and she was the love of his life. On her 29th birthday in July 2017, he proposed again and refused to leave for her birthday party if she did not say yes. So Wang said, "Let's talk more when we get back." Yu took that as a yes and booked tickets for them to fly back to China the next day. Since Wang already thought he was the one, on July 15, 2017, they got their marriage certificate in Nanjing, Wang's hometown. Yu also convinced Wang to keep it from her parents, as he was jobless at the time with no savings, so not the ideal son-in-law type. In February 2018, Wang Ning's parents and younger sister met Yu for the first time when they visited Thailand. Again, Yu put on his best act for his in-laws. As Wang Jing, her younger sister, recalled, Yu appeared to be the perfect husband and son-in-law. The way he treated her sister, no girl would not fall for him. Their parents also accepted him with open arms, because clearly their daughter was in love with him. Sadly, Yu targeted Wang from the very beginning. Once became her WeChat friends, he studied all the words, photos, videos she posted dating back to 3 years ago. 2 months into their marriage, Yu revealed his true color. He was glued to his phone, playing games 24/7. During a busy hour at Wang's Chinese restaurant, she slipped and fell off the second-floor stairs. He took his eyes off the phone for a second and got right back to his game. It was the staff who took her to the hospital to get checked. One day, he came to Wang, all teary eyes, confessed that he was in prison for 8 years on the charge of robbery, but he insisted he was innocent and his friends tricked him into gambling, which was why he had 1 million RMB, roughly $155,000 gambling debt due very soon. Wang agreed to pay half and asked him to help manage one of her companies to pay off the other half. Yu appeared truly grateful and swore he would try his best and be a devoted husband from the moment on. Did he keep his promise? Of course not. One morning, Yu told Wang he was going to see a client of theirs and disappeared. While worrying if he was involved in an accident, Wang got a call from her accountant asking if she owed 5 million, roughly $771,000 to her suppliers. Wang immediately contacted the bank and was informed her husband withdrew the 5 million with correct password, both of their passports and marriage certificates. A week had passed and Yu finally showed up, but penniless. In addition to treating himself to fancy meals, clothes, and jewelry, he flew to Macau and lost even more money at casino. The rationale he gave Wang was he wanted to make up for his lost youth being locked away in prison. He kneeled down, crying and begging for her forgiveness. Wang thought about divorce a few times, but decided against it in the end. She still loved Yu and desperately wanted their marriage to work. After finding out she was pregnant, Wang was over the moon. Meanwhile, Yu purchased a life insurance policy for Wang, with himself as the sole beneficiary. 2 months later, Wang was pushed off a cliff. If she died, it would have been a perfect crime, and Yu would have gotten away with all her money. During the trial, Yu maintained her innocence throughout. On March 24, 2020, the Thai court announced Yu was guilty of attempted murder and sentenced him to life imprisonment and a compensation of 1.1 million yuan to Wang. Yu appealed right away. On May 23, 2021, the Court of Appeal ruled there was no proof of premeditation and reduced Yu's sentence to 10 years. Hearing the devastating news, Wang immediately started her appeal prep while doing her rehab. After 5 major surgeries, Wang now has 6 steel plates in her body and relies on crutches and wheelchair to get around. She spends 3 to 4 hours doing PT every day, with the goal to walk on her own one day. Wang rarely shed tears. She's one tough lady, except for her unborn baby. Due to the large dose of medicine in her system to save her life, the doctors aborted her baby 2 months after she was rescued. Recently, Wang created a TikTok account where she shares her own story as a warning for other women. She said, "There must be a reason why I survived. I don't want to hide from the public." She currently has 2.98 million followers and sells pearl jewelry on her live streams.
这个好像你的红糖麻花啊，我给你们看一下，它这个每一个独立包装
which is now her main livelihood. Despite all the suffering she has gone through, Wang still believes in love. "If there's another man in my destiny, I will still embrace love. I will be more careful about his background. I won't focus only on sweet gestures or lofty promises he makes. I will see if he's a man of his word." She also keeps sharing her recovery journey on TikTok in order to spread positivity and encourage other people. Also, Wang tried to find the tourist who saved her life through local police and media. She learned the cliff bottom was out of the jurisdiction of the park management company and rarely visited by anyone. It was truly amazing that tourists found Wang within the golden hour. No CCTV camera caught a sight of her, and no one came forward after Wang pleaded on TV. The locals believe that tourist was a Buddha incarnation. Okay, thank you for watching. See you for the next case.